Hey, gun control tyrants like Gavin Newsom just don't get it. Making good people defenseless just does not make bad people harmless. Instead of using the word gun control, they should use victim disarmament. And if you believe in the Second Amendment, and if you believe that good people deserve the best tools to defend themselves and their family, and then you should be a member of San Diego County Gun Owners. San Diego County Gun Owners makes it easy to connect with the community that's fighting in the defend and restore your Second Amendment rights. $10 a month. Come on. How hard is that? Go to sdcgo.org/join to become a member. $10 a month. You can't buy breakfast for that.
No kidding. You can't
I
buy
know.
breakfast
It's
for that.
ridiculous.
It is ridiculous how expensive everything's getting.
So welcome back.
Thank you, man.
Went back, seen the dad.
Yeah, went on a little road trip, saw the countryside. It was
What did
beautiful.
you guys do this time?
I had to drive him from Wisconsin to Virginia.
Did you? Oh, what a trip.
It was beautiful. Went to Mackinac Island, which is it's this little island in the middle of one of the Great Lakes, in Michigan, and it's beautiful. It's like their Catalina.
Okay, all right.
That's really what it is. It's like their Catalina, and went and did that. Saw some folks along the way. Went and saw a bunker that was set up for Congress back in the Cold War,
just in case.
1,100 people were going to escape.
See, you took my word. If you're going to travel, you got to stop someplace every day of importance.
Oh, we did. Well, we went to the Flight 93 Memorial.
Oh, was that eerie?
Well, I just happened to have, I visited in 2011 on the day that Bin Laden got shot. And back then it was like a trailer and some chain link fence. Now it is a state-of-the-art, beautiful facility. Wow. I was so blown away. I was so touched. It was really, really beautiful.
Yeah, I would say.
But it was cool. It was all a lot of fun.
Right.
Went through, Wisconsin and then Michigan and then into Ohio. Mm-hmm. And I learned that, that Midwest nice that Minnesota and Michigan and Wisconsin have. Yeah, that ends in Ohio. There's no Midwest nice in Ohio, man. It's like Midwest New York in Ohio.
No kidding.
Yeah, and then we went over to Maryland and a little bit of Maryland and some West Virginia and then up Virginia. It was beautiful. It was
What'd you drive?
Cool little road trip. My dad's got a minivan.
Oh,
yeah, this is a minivan.
The trucksters.
Yeah, yeah. I just flew out there he needed a co-pilot.
That's awesome.
It was fun. It was good. It was good spending time with
Well,
my
you
old
need
man.
to do more of that with your dad anyway.
Yeah,
I bet the stories are just endless.
Yeah, well, it's just nice spending time with the old guy.
Yeah, and you collected a few more watch pictures on Instagram.
He gave me a watch, which was super nice. It's a little kind of.
But you also were able. You must have captured some on your trip.
I did.
Because I watched.
Yeah,
watch.
You watched the watch watching
watches. Yeah.
So, all right. So let's do a little preview.
What'd you miss here in San Diego?
Well, here's what we got coming up on the show. San Diego Gun Show coming up. It's going to be our second gun show since they shut down the show in Del Mar. I think we have a call-in. Do we have a call-in guest here?
I don't know. Hey, Brendan.
Yeah, we do. Carlos, right?
Hey, that's me.
Hey, Carlos.
Hey, buddy,
good, man. Hey, so listen, San Diego Gun Show on October 21st and 22nd, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Talk to us about it. Okay.
Did we lose you?
I'll fill in some blanks. So we're having a gun show on October 21st.
Hello?
Yep.
There he is.
Carlos?
Are you there?
Okay, sorry. I thought I lost you there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
October
we're having
21st,
a gun
22nd.
show.
Talk about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, pretty much. It's going to be over at the same place, over at the lodge there. We are actually really excited because, like I said, this is the second one. First one went off without a hitch. Let me tell you, it was like pulling teeth. It was crazy trying to get this thing going. Then since then, obviously we've gone from just San Diego there. I think we're in 6 different cities there in California. This has been fun. It's been incredible.
Wow. It's been fun, and it was. If you guys went to the first one, which was nice, but it was our kind of our first one since like I said, since they shut down the one in Del Mar. This one's going to be even better. We have food trucks. We have a Hawaiian food truck that's going to be there, so you can purchase lunch. We have a dessert truck there, so you can purchase dessert. There's going to be a coffee sponsor, so you can get some coffee. We're going to have guns. Some of the local gun shops are going to come, and we're actually going to have guns, which is very, very awesome. and of course the symposium. If you buy a ticket to come into the show, Gun Owners Radio, we're putting on a symposium. Sheriff Martinez is going to be there, and she's going to talk.
Wow.
And then we have a bunch of other guest speakers that are going to talk, a bunch of other vendors. And Carlos, I think this is I want us to be your best California gun show, period. I want San Diego to be the jewel in your California crown. I think we're headed that direction.
I think we are too, man. I got some big things on the horizon. I'm not going to say nothing right now. I'd hate to get the governor all riled up and try and shut us down on that idea.
Right.
But no, I love San Diego. And like I said, we've been working on something. You guys will be the first ones to know about it as soon as it comes out.
Great.
But no, right now, this is our favorite right now. The crowd has been so welcoming. I mean, I've been to some places, man, where they look at us like we're just outsiders.
Yeah.
We've had protesters, but I love San Diego. You guys have been good to us.
Yeah, weather's not bad
Especially
here.
the Gun Owner Symposium, too.
Yeah. So where did you say this was for people that maybe just missed last year's? What's the location?
So it's down over at Lodge, I'm trying to remember what's the name of the street on that.
It's on
It's
Tommy.
Masonic? Oh, on Tommy Boulevard.
Right. It's the Masonic Lodge over by Navajo on off of Tommy. I'll give you the exact address. It's the Masonic Temple off Navajo on 7849 Tommy Drive, San Diego, California. So it's about as far east in the city of San Diego as you can get before you get to like La Mesa and Santee. Right. So here's what you do, though. To get more information, go to gunownersradio.com, gunownersradio.com, and we have all the information you need.
Ticket prices.
Yeah, all the other. What are ticket prices, Carlos?
So the ticket prices on that one, I believe those are $15, and if you go to our website, we should have a coupon on there as well.
Wow.
Or go to our Facebook, Gun Radio, Gun Radio, or at Gun TV. We should have it on both of our pages.
Perfect. And we're going to do everything we can to tell everybody in San Diego and get them to show up. And guys, this isn't just going to a gun show. We need you to show up, buy a ticket, find something you like, tell all your friends about how great that one thing that you liked was, and get them to go too. We Carlos, Gun Owners Radio, everybody, we want to grow this thing. We want it to be huge again. But we're in the stepping stone stage right now. So we need you to come out, not just to see cool stuff, because you're going to see some cool stuff, not just to eat some good food, because that's there too, but we just need you to show up as a way to support what we're doing here.
And you need to find out that you cannot buy a gun at the show and walk out the door with it.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to think that this is a loophole and this is a way to get a gun. No, you cannot do it. All this is a great, big, huge gun store. But you still got to wait 10 days. You still got to do the background check.
Yep.
You still got to do all your paperwork. And I just wanted to really emphasize that, because if somebody just clicks in, they're going, oh, the gun show's back. Oh, now the loophole's open again. It's not.
It's not. Exactly right. Carlos, thank you so much. We're going to
tell you how many times I get calls, and that's the number one thing everyone's asking.
Ridiculous.
That's
and
why.
They want
That's
to walk
why.
right out, and it's like, nope.
That's why I threw it out there, because I wanted people to know that is not the case. But you'll have the time of your life. If nothing else, the symposiums have got some of the great topics.
Let me touch on a couple other things. Carlos, thank you so much. We're going to promote this thing, and we're going to make it successful, and thank you guys so much for coming out here and helping us with this gun show and put it on and everything. So thank you.
No, I can't wait to see you guys again. I appreciate everything you guys do for us, and I can't wait to sit down with your symposium again.
Good.
Cool.
So we have prizes, Glock 17 from 2C, 3-day pistol class from Gunsight, gear from 511, free annual memberships, a Vulcan rifle bag, guns from Discount Gun Mart and from Poway Weapons and Gear, coffee, speakers, food, and of course you can get a discount if you go to gunownersradio.com/symposium.
Hey, if you own a gun in California, you should have an attorney that specializes in California gun laws on your speed dial. Because if you ever have a legal matter that involves firearms, you need California's firearm lawyer, John Dillon. Especially if you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant. Our trusted firearms attorney is John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws. Put his number on your phone right now, 760-642-7150. That's John Dillon, California firearms lawyer, 760-642-7150.
So our next guest is we had him on before a few months ago, and I just thought it went really, really well. Do you remember Don Mann a few months ago? He was spent a career as a SEAL.
Yeah.
And now he does a whole bunch of stuff. He's an author, he's a speaker, and is a phenomenally interesting guy. So we got him back on. I wanted him to come back on and talk about all kinds of stuff. So Don, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. It's nice to be back speaking with you.
Yeah, thanks for coming back and talking with us. How have you been?
Oh, I've been doing fine. I've been glued to the news the last day or so with what's going on in Israel, and that's got me definitely interested in what's going on over there.
You know what I'm
doing fine.
You know what I've noticed, Don, about that, and I'm a little out of my swim lane, in international affairs. I'm a simple Second Amendment activist here in San Diego, but you know what I've noticed is the media typically. I wouldn't describe them as being on Israel's side normally. They're kind of, the media is a little bit. Israel's kind of the bully, the big bad bully, and gee golly gosh, they should stop picking on Hamas, and and that's kind of the tone from like the general, especially the mainstream media, and this is so bad that even the mainstream media appears to be siding with Israel. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you know what? I agree, and it kind of brings me back to 9/11, where the left and the right all agreed that what a terrible thing to happen, and then it didn't take long after that for the far left and the left in general to start forgetting about it and not mentioning it, and then stating that it's really our fault. Basically, we even planned the mission to go after our own buildings. So it didn't really take long, and I would be surprised if that doesn't happen again. The left, back to Obama and Biden, they've been pretty much anti-Israel the whole time. And if we had a president like Trump in office, typically Trump, for all his faults, but typically because of his strengths, typically things like this don't happen when you have a strong leader. But when you have a weak leader, things like this happen more often. And I'm worried because the left, the media, they are mostly, like you mentioned, kind of anti-Israel. But when something like this happens, they're pro-Israel, and then the media comes out in groves saying how terrible we are. And look at these terrible attacks on these poor Palestinian people. And look at these poor kids and these women who have been brutalized and killed by the Israeli bombs and planes and stuff that U.S. supplied. And then it turns back. It's almost like a repeat of the same story over and over and over. And I don't mean to sound like a pessimist. I think more so I'm just relating back to what happens every time there's some real crisis like this occurring in the world.
Now, what was so you were when you were a SEAL in what years were you active duty SEAL?
Well, I've been in now military and U.S. government for 45 years. In the military, it was 77 to 98. And then since 98, I've been working with the government, which is what I do now as a contractor.
So in the 80s and 90s, what describe the relationship? What was your awareness as a special operations person? What was your awareness, and what was the relationship with Israel?
Well, I've worked with the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force. I've worked with them in Israel. I've worked with them at other places in the world. And we had a ton of respect and admiration for them, basically because they are surrounded by their enemy, and they're basically at war all the time. And they're very, very professional. They're not like these bloodthirsty savages. They're professional soldiers and diplomats and government officials who just want to take care and protect their land. And I have nothing but respect for the Israelis and the IDF and the Mossad and the whole Israel, from Israeli military and government forces combined. They're 100% professional, and all they want is security of their country. That's all they want.
What is that? I mean, is that who the United States is tightest with in the Middle East is Israel, or are there some surrounding countries that we're equally as tight with?
Well, that's such a good question. Israel started in 1947. We were their first friends, and we've been allies and friends ever since. Other countries, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, they come and go, different phases, different strains. Sometimes you can trust them 100%. Sometimes you trust them 10%. But yeah. Israel has been a steadfast ally since the beginning of Israel.
High school, everything, high school, it doesn't really change, does it? We all just have, bigger, more expensive toys, but it's all very cliquey and backstabby, and we're not sure who your friend this week, but not your friends next week. And it never really changes, does it? Every lesson you need to know in life, you could probably learn in high school.
That's so true, because what one of the government agencies' things is, you work with everybody in the world, because today they may be your friend, tomorrow they may be your enemy, but at least you get the information from them while they're your friend. And the people you trust today, we know that we might not trust them tomorrow, but let's work together, learn as much as we can from them, gain as much as we can from them, and be ready if they turn on us. And that happens in the Middle East all the time, Yeah, for sure.
So talk to me about reaching beyond boundaries.
Okay, so reaching beyond boundaries, it's actually the name of the talk I do around the country, and it's also a book I wrote. And it's probably what I'm most passionate about in my life.
Wow.
Is, the reason is I got out of the military in 1998, like I mentioned. And I was at SEAL Team 1, SEAL Team 2, SEAL Team 6, and I was with some really highly motivated people, to say the least. And I loved it. I loved every bit of it. And then you step out, and then you start realizing, wow, a lot of the people that I'm seeing and working with and dealing with, they're not very motivated. They don't push themselves very hard. And one thing I like to mention is that we all have goals. But I saw as soon as I got out that a lot of people in the civilian population, they set their goals low, and they reach those low set goals, and they go home, they're happy with themselves. Those people will never reach their full potential. I see it opposite of that. Why not set your goals really, really high, way higher than you ever think you could achieve them? Call that a macro goal. And then set a series of micro goals in order to reach that macro goal. And once I adopted this philosophy in my life, basically I achieved every macro goal I've set. And I really think that would work for no matter what you do in this world, as far as an occupation or sport or hobby or whatever. You set some huge macro goal, and like, for instance, for me, it was sports. I wanted to do a 600-mile adventure race. How do I do a 600-mile adventure race where I paddle and hike and climb these 20,000-foot mountains and go days without sleep or eating? So what I would do is I would go 24 hours nonstop. It's a micro goal. Okay, I did it. I went 24 hours. That wasn't so bad. Next weekend, I'm going to have to go 48 hours. I'm going to push myself harder. I've got to have a faster average speed on that bicycle and the mountain bike. And the water, I've got to hit the class 4 and class 5. And I'm going to go 48 hours nonstop, just as an example. So these were micro goals, because before you know it, you accomplish that 10-day or 11-day race that was a macro goal. And then you could take that macro goal you've accomplished, bring it down to the micro goal level, because now that's a stepping stone for your next macro goal, which might be something bigger or more challenging or further or something like that. And that's what reaching beyond boundaries is all about.
So what advice? So let's
get goals high.
Let's say you have somebody who, maybe they have spent their last most of their adult life or whatever, not setting high goals, not achieving their full potential. Let's say they're sitting in a cubicle every day, and they go to their job, and then they go home and they do their thing and whatever, and they go to Bed Bath and Beyond on the weekends or whatever. You know what I mean? Kind of the person that you're describing. That, gosh, this person has so much more potential. what advice would you give them? What if they're listening to this show and they're thinking, gosh, I think I could get so much more out of life. I'd love to follow suit. What would you say to that person?
Well, sadly, I would say who you just described, I think that's quite a few people in our country.
I think it is too.
Yeah. I would like to say, I know you can fall into that routine, and you have family, and you have chores, and you have things you have to do around the house and things like that, and you have to spend 8 to 10 hours behind that cubicle. But there's still ways you could make that more challenging. And you could say, even at work, behind the cubicle, no matter what the job is.
Oh, are you there?
You there, Don? I think we may have lost you.
Yeah, I think I heard a little click. But he's on the right track.
There is, Don.
John?
Yeah, I'm okay.
I think we're having some technical difficulties.
Are you back?
Oh, I'm back. Yeah,
okay, so the person I described is far too common. So we lost you for about the last minute. So how would that person break out of that mold and say, hey, you know what? I do want to be great. I do want to challenge myself. What's your advice?
Okay, I'm sorry about that cutoff. I don't know what happened, but unfortunately, I know there are people like that and get stuck in routines. But you go to the cubicle and you don't look at it.
I'll tell you what, Don, we're going to go to a break, and then maybe we can work some of the technical difficulties out. We're going to have you right back.
Hey, if you listen to Gun Owner Radio, you know how I feel about our current government and financial system. So it's no secret I'm a big believer in diversifying your money with precious metals like gold and silver. But when it comes to buying precious metal, you need the right company in your corner. That's why we're partnered with the top-rated precious metal company, Goldco. Because reputations matter. Goldco is a 6-time Inc. 5000 winner, 2022 Company of the Year, and they help people like you and me place over $2 billion in gold and silver. And right now, they're offering Gun Owner Radio supporters up to $10,000 in bonus silver when opening a qualified IRA account. This is your opportunity to protect yourself from our out-of-control, corrupt government. Don't pass it up. Grab your phone today and give Goldco a call. Take action today so you don't regret it tomorrow. Call Goldco at 855-612-6354. That's 855-612-6354. Tell them you heard it right here on Gun Owners Radio.
All right, we're talking to our guest, Don Mann, and we were just talking about some of the things he specializes in and some of the things that he took away from being a career SEAL that helped him excel and succeed. Now, Don, your message of pushing yourself and setting goals beyond what you think you can achieve, and that's a I guess it's a familiar message from folks that have spent years on a SEAL team. Do you think that they are there because that's who they are? In other words, are they people who push themselves and that's why they're a SEAL? Or do you think that the SEAL teams and that whole experience makes them, this hyper-driven kind of person? Or do you think it's kind of a complementary mixture of both?
I do like what you just said. It's a complementary mixture of both, mainly because you can't be the type of kid who hangs around the couch and plays computer games all day long and then get up and say, I want to be a SEAL. That's not really what happens. It's the guys who are out there playing sports, pushing themselves, maybe getting in a little trouble here and there, but really pushing the limits and then thinking, what can I do in the military that's super challenging? You kind of have to have that mindset before wanting to go to BUDS, which is basic underwater demolition SEAL training. And I do. And actually, I had a long talk with a SEAL buddy of mine just the other day, and we were talking about that it's not the SEALs make people, it's the people who come in make the SEALs is kind of what happens. You have these like-minded people who come in there with this attitude that, hey, bring it on. I want something really tough, and I'll give you my all. I'll give it my all. And that's kind of what we have, and that's what we want. But it doesn't work the other way. You can't come in as, say, this low-achieving couch potato type guy who doesn't really like pushing themselves up. And you can't do that and then expect to be a SEAL in a year.
Yeah.
You have to have the mindset before coming in.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Have you? I mean, does it ever happen? It seems like it's like, everybody's been in like a group project, or they've been in a class, or they've been on a team, and there's one or two people that excel, and it seems like that one person that really excels. Those are the type of people that actually make it, into the, through SEAL training and then into a SEAL team. So it's like an entire unit of people who were the best in their team, best in their class, best in their group, whatever. But does it ever happen? In your experience, do you ever see somebody who, sure enough, made it through training, made it through buds, got their trident, they're a SEAL, and then 12 months into it, they're like, you know what, this person's not cutting it. We thought, or is it, or by the time they get there, they're so well trained and vetted that it's impossible to fail.
Yeah, that's what I think it is, because you finally go through all the vetting process. Buds is a pretty good vetting process, that 6-7 month process. Then you get out, but then when you go to a team, you don't even get your trident right away, your pin, your medal. You don't get we call it the Budweiser. You don't get that right away. You have to go through some training, some advanced training. And then if the team accepts you, and I say accept, meaning you've passed all the advanced qualifications that go far and beyond what Buds offers, then you get that trident pinned on. Pretty much at that point, it's really, really rare people don't like being in the teams, because they know what the road ahead lies. They know what's going to happen ahead, and they know what's to be expected. And pretty much you just keep your mouth shut, your ears and eyes open, and you listen, and you watch all the veterans and the guys who know what's going on, and you pay attention to them, and you learn just by watching and learning from them. And then before you know it, you start having a voice. I can't think of any examples, actually, when someone's come in, they get into the teams, they get their trident, they're a full-fledged SEAL, and then they say, I don't really like it. I guess, the closest I can come to an example like that is a guy who's only in for 4 years. He wants it on his resume. It's a stepping stone for him to do something else. He just wants to see what being a SEAL is like. But most people, I can only think of a handful of people who are only in for 4 years. Once you're in there, well, I can tell you how I thought. I think this is how most people think. This is the greatest thing in the world. Why would I ever want to do anything else? Because my initial plan was to spend 4 years and then get out. But, boy, I certainly didn't want to get out. I couldn't wait to re-up every single time, because there was absolutely nothing outside a SEAL team I wanted to do. And I think that's how most people think in the teams.
You guys are all characters, too. I've never met an uninteresting SEAL. You guys are all, you know what I mean? Your sense of humor, your awareness, your personality. I've never met an uninteresting SEAL. My dad was in the Navy, and he worked with some folks that were SEALs, and so growing up in the 80s and the 90s, I get to meet a few, and they were always they were some of the most interesting people I met growing up. They were hilarious too. He has hilarious stories. My dad had hilarious stories, working with some of the SEALs. So it was. You didn't happen to. This is kind of random. You didn't happen to know a Master Chief Burwell, did you?
Matt Burwell?
Burwell? I don't know his first name. I just knew him.
Burwell?
I just knew him as Master Chief Burwell. He was a Master Chief in the 80s. Vietnam.
I did know a Matt Burwell. I don't know if he made it to Master Chief, but I would. In the 80s, he might have been a little too young back then.
He was.
Burwell,
this guy was.
I would have to say probably not.
Probably not. He was a Vietnam vet, but man, he was one of the. He said hilarious stories from this guy, and I don't know. I thought maybe if you knew him, because my dad had the story about how they were taking a tour of the Tower of London in England. And it's a weapons tour. Basically, they start from sticks and stones, and they work their way up to modern, weapons. And it's in England, and they skipped right over the American Revolution. And Master Chief Burwell brought it up and said, hey, wait a minute. You guys didn't say anything about the American Revolution. And like this prim and proper Englishman said, well, we don't really consider that a significant time period in our military history. And he said, well, I guess not. A bunch of drunken squirrel hunters beating the tar out of the entire British Army. I could see why you wouldn't. Anyway.
Yep, that's a team guy sense of humor statement right there for sure.
So let me ask you, Doc, what's your goal? Like, you've recognized that, hey, you know what? People can be so much better. You know, people I can bring things that I've learned and bring the person I've become to the masses. You know, and I'm sure it's interesting and fun, but I'll bet you there's kind of a deeper goal. I'll bet you there's something about this that really drives you. And I'm curious if that's something you're able to describe.
Well, you know, you learn a lot in the teams. You grow up pretty fast. And skill sets, you know, shooting, diving, jumping, you know, ops, tactics, and all that. Everybody learns that stuff. And you learn it all, and you get really good at it. And some guys, they take away certain things they learn in the teams or even before the teams. But talking about being in the teams, some guys really, really take away, for instance, like in your line of work, weapons. I mean, I don't really even understand what some of our really top-notch weapons guys are talking about when they start talking about reloads and the ammo and the calibers and ballistics and all that. They go so far over my head, but they've really locked on to weapons. And the same with jumping. You know, I've got hundreds of jumps, almost 1,000 actually. But when you talk to a real, what we call sky god, a guy who's like, you know, he's on in the James Bond movies because he does the stunt doubles or plan the stunts coming out of airplanes and having a knife fight, falling out of an airplane, then deploying the parachute, and or doing maybe 100-way relative work connection in the sky, or doing a hey-ho at 40,000 feet, high altitude, high opening. I mean, when I talk to those guys, I feel so basic, like I barely even know what they're talking about, you know, but it works. And everything we do, there's some people who grab onto something that they learned or they experience and adapt to really, really tightly in the teams. And for me, I think it was as a SEAL medic. I love being a SEAL medic. I love taking care of people when they really needed it. Not so much sick call, like I've got athlete's foot or a headache. I could care less about that. But when somebody's shot up or not, you know, I've seen all types of things. Those people I love helping. But even beyond that, I would say the thing I took away from the teams, and I had it before I got in the teams, is what you asked me earlier, is a philosophy of what I call reaching beyond boundaries. And really, not so much for myself anymore, but I did 3 talks last week, talking to groups of people, and they could be kids, they could be billionaires in New York, which I spoke to a couple of weeks ago. They could be doctors from somewhere, but they all can grasp what I'm trying to say. And that is reach beyond your self-perceived limitations. Go higher. It only takes 2 things, a mindset, what we call in the teams, a combat mindset, but a mindset saying, I can do anything in this world. But also the goal setting, set that macro goal way high, and then just simply develop a series of micro goals until you reach that macro goal. And it's fun, it's challenging. You're talking about that guy behind the cubicle.
Yeah.
Instead of coming to work and dreading that 8 to 10 hours you got to sit behind that computer, think, okay, now I got something challenging for myself. You know, the boss didn't tell me to do this. Nobody expects this of me, but I'm going to do a side project while I'm here. Yeah, this is going to be exciting. Or what I have to do, yeah, I'll do that. But then I'm going to do so much more afterwards. And when you challenge yourself, it's just much more rewarding and a lot more fun, and you feel so much better about yourself. And you go home thinking, wow, I accomplished a lot today. And that's a big difference to going home thinking, yeah, well, I had those low set goals and I achieved them. Same thing tomorrow, same thing for the next 14 years or whatever.
Hey, bud. Hey, can I just jump in for a second? We got to go pay some bills, but we'd love you to stay one more segment. Hey, have you ever wanted to get a pilot's license?
Yes.
Well, here in San Diego, you should. Because here in San Diego, pilots can fly almost every day, which makes San Diego one of the best places to learn how to fly in the world. You can learn to fly with San Diego Flight Training International. Check out this deal. Just for gun owner radio listeners, 1 hour on ground school, 1 hour of flight with an instructor. Yes, you do get to fly. Normally $400, but for listeners, it's only $350. Getting started is super easy. Give them a call at 858-569-1822. Learn to fly with SDFTI. That's 858-569-1822.
You know, Don, the thing I like, and I think the thing I was trying to get at is that you seem very interested in making those around you better. You seem really interested, maybe even, I'm not sure what the word is, compassionate, empathetic, but you definitely seem like the kind of person who is who's very interested, who really, really enjoys making people around him into a better person. And I think that's such an admirable trait. I don't know, maybe, am I describing that accurately?
Well, thanks for saying that. And I do feel like that's what I like to do. So I think it might be admirable in one sense, might be selfish in another sense. It really makes me feel good when I can do that for other people. And you know, we all have things that we excel at. And if I had one thing, that would be it, helping others to maybe get more out of their lives. It's what I like to believe I can share with others. And, yeah, it is a passion. You know, people said, man, you're doing a talk with Michael Jordan. You're doing a talk with Monica Lewinsky. You're doing a talk with Ben Carson. Aren't you worried about that? I said, no, not at all. I have so much heart and belief in what I'm saying. I don't care who I talk to. I believe in it, and I just believe in the message, you know, beyond anything else in life that I believe in, really, you know. It's that we can all get so much more out of our lives if we only open up our mind, get that mindset we need, have a more powerful, your mind can grow each and every day, it can get stronger each and every day, and as it does, you can achieve more each and every day. And I know that doesn't work just for SEALs, it doesn't work just for pilots or police officers or athletes. It works for everybody, no matter what you do in life, that mindset works. And I've really never heard anybody say that doesn't make sense. I don't want to live a life I'm always pushing myself. But it's when you push yourself a little bit more, your life is more rewarded and you're happier at the end of the day. And I've never heard that criticism. You know, I've only heard positive comments about it.
It is, and that
for the people who want to kick back and relax. Only.
Yeah, it drives me crazy, Don. It's something I've thought about and talked about with other people, and you're kind of hitting on it. You know, if you sleep in and you go, you know, have a piece of cake for breakfast, you know, and you skip your workout, and you know, and then nachos for lunch, and then you watch TV for 4 hours, you know, you feel horrible. You feel horrible. If you wake up early and you go bang out a workout and you have something healthy for breakfast, and then you start early on work and you get something accomplished, blah, 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 you feel you're on top of the world. You feel like, oh man, I'm unstoppable. But, you know, the next morning, you know, if someone says, hey, you know, let's get out of bed and go run 5 miles. You know, or someone says, hey, let's get out of bed and you know, eat some more birthday cake. You know, which one are you more motivated to do? I mean, it's the craziest feeling in the world, Don, that things that make you feel good, you know, that the hard work that you put in that makes you feel good, it's still the toughest thing in the world to get started. Meanwhile, the things that make you feel horrible are so easy. You know, they're so easy for people to do. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on how do you get around that, and why is it that way?
Well, I had an opportunity to be with one of those people a few weeks ago, and it was my grandson. Actually, my stepdaughter has a son, and I feel like he's my grandson. But I love the little guy. He's 9 years old, and he spends his whole life on a computer and on his laptop and on his iPhone, and he's a great little guy. And I'm always talking to the parents, hey, get them outside. You live in Colorado, get them outside. Go biking or trail running or rock climbing or something with him. But he's always on the computer, always on his iPhone. It drives me crazy. So anyways, they let me take care of him for 9 days a few weeks ago. And his name's Sawyer, and he's 9 years old. And I picked him up at the airport. I said, Sawyer, you're with me for 9 days, and I'm going to have some rules. He said, I know. My parents already told me you're not going to let me on my laptop. You're not letting me on my iPad. I'm not going to be able to be on my cell phone. I said, no. Those aren't the rules at all. Your parents gave me 9 days of homework we have to do. And you can go on the laptop or iPad anytime you want. But before you do, we're going to do a page of homework. He said, oh, that sounds good. I said, also, Sawyer, what I like to do is I like to tell young people 4 things. All they have to do is 4 things in life. If they want to do something physically challenging, maybe be a SEAL or a Marine or a Ranger or a Delta Force or a firefighter or something. But if you want to do something physically challenging in your life, you only have to do 4 things and it'll happen. So every day you get up and make yourself stronger somehow. You figure out how, but make yourself stronger. Number 1. Number 2, every day do something to make yourself faster. If you're into sports, do fartlek, speed run, hill repeats, speed work on the track. But anyways, whatever it is, swim speed workouts in the pool. But if you can do 120 sit-ups in 3 minutes, do 130 in the same amount of time. But every day do something to make yourself faster. More importantly, number 3 is every day do something to make yourself smarter. Learn about what you want to do. Learn about what you're interested in. There's so much information out there on the website now. Go learn about, if you want to be a SEAL, go learn about these 90-plus countries SEALs are operating in. Learn how to shoot. Learn about weapons we're shooting. Go take a skydiving course. Go jumping. Learn how to dive. Get your scuba qualification. But most importantly, number 4, every day do something good for somebody. If you help a teammate, you help your little brother or your mother or your father or your neighbor or a classmate, you do something good for them, you're going to develop into a really, really good teammate as well as a great person too. But when it comes to selection, you're 9 years old. When it comes to whatever you want to be, if it's something challenging or get on the football team or go to Buds or anything physically challenging, and those are those 4 areas you concentrated on, you just might end up being the fastest and smartest and strongest person there. But you're also going to be the person that everybody wants on the team because all you know is doing good things for people. And so I told them those were my rules.
Wow.
So we did that every day. Every day I lift weights in my gym. I have a gym in my garage. I said, Sawyer, you're 9 years old. You can't do everything I'm doing, but you have to do something. If you can't do those lat pull-downs, just do something else. But there's no breaks. 45 minutes. Every day we'll do a weight workout. And he did it with me. And then I said, then I go running in the mountains. I live on the Appalachian Trail, and I do a run in the mountains in the afternoons. I said, you don't have to keep up with me. You don't even have to run. You could walk if you want to. I'm not going to walk. I'm going to run, but I'll come back and forth for you. And then I'm going to time you because I want to see how fast you go per minute, per mile. And then every day you're going to get smarter because we're going to do your homework together. And so we did that for 9 days. He ended up doing like 28 days of homework. I let him on his website all those times. He loved it. And then when he started doing his homework, I said, well, you got to do something more than just the basic, yeah, I'm doing my homework. Do it better than the basic. Okay, now excel. Really, really blow this answer away. And he said, I'm loving this. I really like it. He said, but I didn't do anything good for anybody today. I said, yeah, you did. You taught me how to do this new math. I didn't know anything about this math you're doing. So anyways, the long story short is when his parents came back from the vacation, Sawyer was used to being on a couch with his laptop and his iPhone. He said, Mom, Dad, I want to stay here with Papa, and I want to keep working out. And, there was one time we were doing a 3-mile trail run, super, super steep, and he was doing 20-minute miles, and I was, 20 minutes per mile. I said, Sawyer, that's pretty good for these steep trails. Next day we did a 4-miler. The next day we did a 5-miler. and he got really tired on the 5 miler. So we went back to the 3 miler, and he fell, and I heard him crash down behind me. His elbows, his knees got all bloody, and I picked him up and I hugged him. I said, Sawyer, you're okay. You're bleeding, but you're okay. My watch is still going. You have to go faster today than the last time we did this 3 miler. He broke his time by 3 miles. When we got back, I said, you want me to wash off your wounds and put Band-Aids on? He goes, no, I'm okay. He just toughened up so much, and he loved learning, and he loved pushing himself. And when his parents came back, he said, I want to live here with Papa. So that was my last person I got to do that with.
Don, how can people find out more about you? Do you have a website, or what do you recommend?
I do. My name's Don, D-O-N, Man, M-A-N-N, but I'm at Don at USFrogman with 2 N's.com.
Thank you, Don.
All right, buddy. Take care. Keep that kid running. Hey, the fight for Second Amendment is also happening in Orange County and Inland Empire. Orange County gun owners and Inland Empire gun owners, they lead the fight on the city and county levels to defend and protect your self-defense rights. How do they do it? Well, they do it by fundraising, getting local pro-gun candidates elected. Become a member today. Go to iegunowners.com/join. Or if you're in Orange County, that's OCGunowners.com/join. And join the growing number of responsible gun owners stepping up to defend our Second Amendment right. That's iegunowners.com or OCGunowners.com. All right, we got some winners.
Yeah, we do. Winners, prizes, and events. Subscribe and win. Subscribe to our email list and win some swag. This week's winner, Joe Finnell. Or is that Finnell? Joe Finnell?
Right, Finnell.
Finnell? Finnell. Congratulations, Joe. If you just email prizes at gunownersradio.com, and you can claim your T-shirt or hat. So that's prizes, PRIZES, at gunownersradio.com to claim your shirt or hat. Now, if you want to win some cool stuff, then go to gunownersradio.com, subscribe to be on our newsletter,
yep,
our email list.
Mm-hmm.
And Rich will send you out some really cool information. Right now, the thing that you should be interested in that Gun Owners Radio is talking about is, of course, the gun show.
Right. Absolutely. Well, that's going to be huge. You'll be able to physically go and look and touch and hold guns. You can't buy them. You can look at them. I mean, if you want to buy them, you can. You can turn around and take a business card and just go over to the store.
Yeah, when you go to their business the next day or whatever.
Because there's going to have businesses there that are going to be representing.
Right. Which, by the way, isn't any different. That's how it was at the other gun shows. It was a little different, but that's what you do, and it's October 21st and October 22nd. But the other thing I really want to point out is this symposium. You know, this is all Rich. This is all Gun Owners Radio. It's his baby, and he's done a fantastic job. We're going to have Sheriff Martinez. She's going to come out and talk. Particularly, I think we're going to probably hear from her on what it's going to look like with SB2 and the way that they're changing the CCW process and the way that they're changing the way the places you can carry. Now, I know you guys talked about it in the past, but, while I was on the road, we filed a lawsuit.
Right. That's what I heard.
I'm very, very proud of that. We're doing everything we can. We're partnering with Firearms Policy Coalition like we always do. Because it's such a hand in glove, relationship. People ask me often, like, well, gee, how do you work with other organizations? Like, how does it work? Well, this is a perfect example. So we're with Firearms Policy Coalition, San Diego County Gun Owners, Orange County Gun Owners, plaintiffs. I'm a plaintiff. Garrison Ham is a plaintiff. Firearms Policy Coalition, Second Amendment Foundation, plaintiffs. We'll probably add some more plaintiffs. But the whole point is, there are a number of places that they spelled out in SB2 where people with a CCW would not be able to carry. And it's basically every place outside of your front door, right, Dave?
That's so stupid.
It's really what it is.
It's really stupid.
From like parks to, medical facilities, parking lots in front of medical facilities. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
So what we had to do is we had to find plaintiffs that frequented each of those areas. We did, and within 2 hours of Governor Newsom signing that into law, within 2 hours we had our lawsuit filed. Mm-hmm. We're the very, very first ones to have our lawsuit filed. We're very, very proud of that. We're very, very happy with what we're doing. So come listen to Sheriff Martinez talk about some of the changes, some of her thoughts on it. What you don't want to do is listen to your buddy who's going to give you a bunch of false information. Come down to the symposium where people are actually talking about it. We're actually going to hear, what's happening. We're also having a panel of elected officials to talk about what it's like being a pro-Second Amendment elected official in the county of San Diego. Mm-hmm. Dane White, the mayor of Escondido, will be one. Laura Lothian, she's the vice mayor of La Mesa. She'll be one of the other people on the panel. They both confirmed. And we're going to have some others. I'm going to lead the discussion. It'll be very interesting. Definitely come down for that. But all day, Saturday and Sunday, we're going to have speakers.
Are you going to have room, as you had this at the gun prom, which I didn't get a chance to do, but
what's that?
That gun simulator.
I don't think that'll be at the gun show. So that dude comes in from Arizona to support gun prom.
I bet
he drives all the way in from Arizona to do that. Isn't that cool?
He would be good at the gun store show.
I wonder if we have somebody local. I don't think he'd be able to come all the way back in, but
all you gotta do is ask him.
But we might be able to find somebody. That'd be an interesting thing.
Does that look like that was really popular on top of it?
I think we should have a dunking booth. Except rather than throw something,
shoot something.
You shoot something, and we'll get people to dress up like Todd Gloria and
Why don't we just get Todd to come down?
Yeah,
just invite Todd. Say we have an award for you.
Yeah, here, sit right here.
Here, put your blindfold on.
I wonder if he'd do it. I wonder how many lighthearted,
that other. What was that politician that let that gay guy or gay girl spanking? I mean, you
what?
never know. You didn't see that?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. You got to quit traveling.
Anyway, I wonder if we could get I wonder if we reached out to some of the anti-gun politicians if they would come down and. Yeah. I'd even be willing to.
What about Fletcher's wife?
Jeez, I was about to say all kinds of rude things. I'm not.
I'd like to see her go in the water.
I wonder. We could even agree on all the money raised goes to a charity that we agree on.
Yeah.
like kids with cancer or something like that. I wonder if they do that.
I don't know.
What do you think, Dave?
Oh, I think they would.
You think I could talk an anti-gun politician into letting gun folks dunk them for charity?
I think it would be hilarious.
All right, let me see if I can work on that.
Maybe we can do a preview at KUSI.
Let me see.
Early in the morning.
Let me see if I can work on that. Okay, so that's the gun show. Please come. Go to gunownersradio.com/symposium, and you'll see a lot more information on the gun show. But we need you to be there. We need you to be there to support the cause, not just to come to a cool place and see some cool guns and have some cool food, but we need you to come down. There are a lot of other gun laws that passed. It was a pretty bad day. And the big one, of course, is SB2 is it's bigger than all the rest combined. One of them, of course, is an 11% excise tax, and that's horrible. And I did some press. If you follow San Diego County Gun Owners, if you follow Gun Owners Radio, follow us on social media or get our email, you'll see some of the press that I did. That 11% tax is really nothing more than a poll tax. Back in the 60s and the 50s, they had and before they had, especially in the South, to prevent the black community from voting. Because they were, they were free now, and they didn't want them to vote. So all the racist politicians down in the South came up with a poll tax, and basically made voting unaffordable. You couldn't afford to vote.
You had to pay to vote?
You had to pay to vote. That's what a poll – you had to go to the poll.
Yeah.
You had to pay a tax.
Wow.
Which is about as offensive as it gets.
It had to be illegal.
Well, they found it. It's unconstitutional. Poll tax is unconstitutional. 11% excise tax on guns and ammo is the exact same thing.
But the left never follows the rules. Unless it fits their narrative.
I'd say the anti-gunners never follow the rule. You know what I mean?
Unless it fits their narrative.
Unless it fits their narrative. Now, the other offensive thing about that 11%, it doesn't just go into the general fund. It goes. They send it off to
the
anti-gun
organization,
to anti-gun 501c3s. Isn't that crazy? So they give it to charities that are anti-gun. This is pushing a political agenda. No, gee, Mike, 501c3s aren't political. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Good luck selling that.
Come on.
So they have all these anti-gun 501c3s that are fighting gun violence, and they're going to fund it with this 11% tax. So look for a lawsuit on that too. But go to either OrangeCountyGunOwners.com or SanDiegoCountyGunOwners.com. Make a donation. Help us fight this the SB2. And,
well, he's blaming the oil petroleum companies for the high prices for gas here in California. He's blaming them. So he says it's their fault. They're crooks.
That's what it is.
But is he going to drop the California gas tax?
Of course not.
No. Hey, is there a better tool that empowers a woman to defend against an attacker that's bigger and stronger? That's why it's so important for women to learn how to defend themselves with the most effective self-defense tool ever invented. For women, led by women, the Not Me program is designed to help with the training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It is totally free. How do you sign up? You go to notmesd.org. All right, Michael, what do you got?
I got a story for you. We got to have a conversation about somebody.
Sure. Anybody I know?
I don't think you know her. You may have heard me. You may have heard me talk about it. I'm trying to think. I've kind of mentioned this before, but I really wanted. We had a development. So Marietta, up in Riverside County. Mm-hmm. So what happened was years ago, and we actually interviewed the folks that did this on the radio show years ago, like when we first started. It was really, really difficult, basically impossible to get a CCW in California. And Riverside's previous sheriff, their current sheriff is Chad Bianco. He's about as good as they get. I mean, he's just the guy walks on water, if you ask me. I really like him. Their previous sheriff was a guy named Sheriff Sniff, and he was bad news.
Right. Not so, yeah.
I didn't like him at all. He would issue if you were his buddy, good enough for me, but not for thee. So he kind of quagmired the CCW system and really wasn't issuing. And I thought it was just an absolute travesty. And there were pro-gun groups that actually thought he was good, and I just thought it was an absolute travesty that he got any respect from pro-gun people at all. He was actually a legit gun guy, though, meaning that he would actually go to competitions and shoot.
Really?
But he wouldn't issue permits. He was kind of this elitist attitude.
Mm.
So what happened was a bunch of the cities in Riverside, like a handful of the cities in Riverside County, started issuing through their police chief. And not Permitium, but another online service helped them out. And it was kind of like a Hail Mary, like, look, we're trying everything we can do here. So one of the things that they did is they required a personality test. A legit, actual, I don't mean this is my interpretation. Mm-hmm. I mean that part of the name of this test was a personality test. And what it's supposed to be used for is like first responders, especially cops and firefighters, how they handle stress.
Right.
It's not intended to be used for CCW holders. That's not what it was designed to do. And there's no requirement that you have to have the same personality as a cop to defend your life. So, but okay, fine. If that's what we got to do to kind of, it was kind of a CYA for them, right? If that's what we got to do to get it one step further, fine. So we praised them. Hey, thank you, Marietta. Thank you, Banning. Thank you. Like I said, they're about half a dozen or so. Thank you for doing this. But then Sheriff Bianco got elected, and it was a whole new day. And he started issuing, and that whole backlog that Sheriff Sniff said he couldn't get around, miraculously Bianco did. And he started issuing, passed the background check, whatever. It was beautiful. So then we said, hey, let's go back to some of these cities and bring them, into parity with the county so that you're not having to spend an additional $200 on a personality test.
$200.
$200. So it was an additional $200 to do this background check. Or it was not a background check.
No,
it was
personality check.
And I do want to emphasize, this thing doesn't tell you if you're insane. That's not what it does. It doesn't tell you, when you do the background check, that's when they look, hey, has this person ever been committed? That sort of thing. That's not what this does. So they call it a psych evaluation. It's not. It tests your personality.
Right.
And again, there's no requirement that you have the same personality as law enforcement.
What does personality have to do with gun ownership?
I agree. Nothing. Nothing. But again, we kind of, and I remember we questioned them, in Marietta. We had some of the city council members, one of the city council members on Marietta years ago, and we questioned him, like, hey, and he kind of went, look, this is what I got to do to get this done. And we said, okay, if that's what you got to do to get it done, fine. But now that things have changed, let's just make it the same process as the county. And they don't require a personality test. Right. So there was, years ago, there was a guy named Jeff Stone who he was a supervisor up in Riverside. He ran for state senate. I was involved in his campaign. He didn't win. Actually, Joel Anderson won, which was fantastic. Joel Anderson was a fantastic state senator who's now a supervisor. But I did meet Jeff Stone's sister. Her name's Lori Stone. Lori Stone decided to run for Marietta, city council. Mm-hmm. And I thought, hey, that's great. She was wonderful with Jeff. Jeff was very pro 2A. This should be great. Reached out to her, reconnected. Pretty sure it was Inland Empire Gun Owners. I'm pretty sure Inland Empire Gun Owners endorsed her and talked to her about, this personality test problem. And she was extremely interested in helping. And she was, I'm pro 2A, and we're going to do this thing. And, Wow. So here's the first step we took was she said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up a meeting, you and I and the police chief. I talked to the police chief, this guy named Tony, his name escapes me, Conrad? Anyway, so we had a meeting with the police chief, and it sounded like this was going to go really well because she said, hey, I talked to the police chief. It sounded like it was going to be kind of a, hey, see what you're saying. Let's work through this. It sounded like it was going to be totally positive. It was totally going to go our way. So I go in and I meet this new police chief, and the first thing he says is, hey, we introduce each other, whatever, sit down. Hey, don't worry. We haven't used this test at all to deny somebody their CCW. I said, okay, then why do we have the test? It sounds like it's just a $200 fee. If you guys aren't even using it to determine, and man, the look on his face, he is the least impressive bureaucrat I think I've ever met. And
you've met a lot.
And I've met a lot. And I proceeded to figuratively pull this police chief's pants down and spank his butt in front of everybody because he was that ridiculously incompetent and had no idea what he was talking about.
Really?
And I said, look, this is a personality test. You guys are charging $200. You're not even using it to make a decision. Just get rid of the test and stop charging people, stop bilking people for $200. He said, well, look, I'd argue with you that it's a personality test, and he kind of had this condescending, patting me on the head, look, son. And I said, okay, it's in the title. Personality is actually in the title of the test. And he started getting so mad. So basically professionally humiliated this guy, not intentionally. He was just so bad and so, horribly informed. I mean, he had no idea what he was talking about. He had no idea what was going on. I honestly think he thought that, it was just, some volunteer who just had a minor concern. I don't know. Wasn't prepared, didn't know what he was talking about, wasn't able to, didn't seem to understand the issue, but dug his heels in. So
you challenged him.
Yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous. You give somebody a tiny bit of power, especially the ill-informed and, vaguely incompetent, and what happens? It goes right to their head. So at the end of it, he did say, look, here's what I'll do. I'm going to a meeting, all the police chiefs, with the sheriff. It's, we do this every 2 months, whatever. I'm going to talk to the sheriff and see what he thinks. I said, oh, great. And we'll revisit this and we'll talk more about it. So a couple weeks later, happened to reach out to to the sheriff and said, hey, you know that meeting you were at last week? Oh, yeah, it was a great meeting, whatever.
He didn't reach out to you?
I said, hey, did you talk to this police chief from Marietta? Conrad, pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's Conrad. I think it's Tony Conrad from Marietta, the police chief from Marietta.
By the way, our secretary just arrived.
our internet whiz.
Yeah, our internet whiz, Alicia. She'll have this answer before we finish.
And I said, hey, did he talk to you about, the CCW process and how they, have this personality test or whatever? No, he didn't bring it up at all. Well, that's interesting. That's super interesting. So I went and spoke with Lori Stone, who was there. She set up the meeting and she was there through the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And, she agreed that this guy was horrible, this police chief. And at the time, he was fairly new. Like, I don't even think he'd been there a full year. And she agreed that it was horrible. It was a horrible display, that he was really, really bad. Mm-hmm. And she said, okay, we need to start formulating some kind of plan. We need to get this in front of the city council. We need to figure this out, But, the thing is, you got to be able to count to 3. In other words, there are almost always 5 people on the council, and you have to get 3 votes. You don't need 4, you don't need 5, but you got to be able to count to 3. So she said, I know one of the people will vote. And our way. I know he will, no problem. But I don't know if we can get a 3rd vote. And she said, "You find me that 3rd vote, I'll introduce it, and boom, we'll have it." Mm-hmm. So what did I do? I went and got her a 3rd vote. And one of the other city councils was like, "Yeah, I'm a little concerned. I don't know much about the subject. In this day and age, in this environment, and in California." But I want to learn. I want you to, convince me, and let's really, really talk about this thing. And so I explained to her what we all know. You go, if you're getting a CCW, mm-hmm. First off, you've already gotten a background check when you bought a gun. Mm-hmm. Okay. Second, you got to go through a background check that's even more thorough than the background check that you went through to buy a gun. Mm-hmm. They check everything. I mean, it's a very thorough background check. And I'll finish the story about Lori and everything, but I got her the 3rd vote. I got her the 3rd vote.
Hold that thought. Let's wait and see what happens, because this is just like a sitcom, folks.
It gets a lot more calm than sit.
Does it really? All right. Hey, a lot of companies waste an enormous amount of money on marketing. The design is excellent, the photos are beautiful, and the website looks great, but it's just not getting customers. Why? Because you don't have the words that make people buy. But now you can fix that with Sage Tree. Sage Tree can help you find the words that make it easy for your customers to understand what you do and how to buy from you. Stop wasting money today and schedule a call. Getting started is easy. Visit SageTree.com, click on the Schedule an Appointment button at SageTree.com, and hit that Schedule a Button call. All right, we got a great story.
So we're talking about CCWs and trying to get rid of the personality test in Marietta. And at this point, Lori Stone, one of the city council members, had asked me that she said, hey, I need you to get a 3rd vote, that she had 2 votes to get rid of these personality tests. So on Friday, May 20th, 2022 at 11:15 a.m., I sent her a text. You have the votes to remove the 100% personality test requirement for CCWs. The trick is not to ban it, but language that offers guidance, like it cannot exceed 10% of the applicants, et cetera, et cetera. Require a report from the police, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What's the next step? Well, she didn't text me. She called me and said, okay, we're in. Let's do this thing, And they were trying to figure out how exactly to word this. What language would it be in? And hey, if I can help, I know it's a little complicated creating a reg. Let's figure this out. Thank you. Very, very cool. And she liked it. She liked my little comment. And that was that. Well, time went on. This was July 22nd, 2022. It said, hey, I'm pinging you on the initiative to get rid of the personality test for CCW. And she said, if I bring it up, okay, so now her whole tone and everything has changed. If I bring it up, it will be after November 8th, the election. I said, okay, does that mean you aren't certain? She said, yes, only if I have the votes. And I said, you have them. I assure you that you have them because I helped her get them. She said, don't share that with me. I can talk to only one colleague. Well, she'd already talked to one because it's part of the Brown Act. She'd already talked to one colleague. She knew she had that person's vote, and I'd already assured her that she had one other vote. She was the one that told me, go to this person and see if you can get the vote. So I asked if we could schedule a call to discuss. This was July 25th, 2022. And she said she's getting ready for a city council meeting that has a big agenda. Blah, 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 blah. We eventually talk, and suddenly everything had changed. Oh, well, I've just been so busy. Okay, well, it doesn't take that much out. Like, what do I do to help? Oh, well, there's just so much else going on. Okay, well, the election. Okay, well, and I'm basically helping her through all her excuses. And then she finally goes, well, there's all these mass shootings that have happened. Okay, what are we saying here? What's going on? It sounds like you've completely changed your mind. Because she assured me, she said, hey, she was there in front of the police chief. We talked about it extensively after, she was all on board. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And now she won't do it because she's busy, because there's an election, because there's a full agenda, because there are mass shootings.
No, she's been gotten to.
I said, if anything, this can be and should be couched and phrased and positioned as something that will help stop mass shootings. Making sure that somebody can defend themselves when there's some kind of mass shooting. Well, no, she wouldn't talk to me about it. Basically hung up on me, and that was that.
Really?
So
fast forward, and so we started talking about it. We said, hey, this guy, his name's Tony Conrad, right? Were you able to find him?
It is Tony, correct.
Tony Conrad, the police chief. We put it out there like, hey, the police chief is standing in the way of this. And, oh, by the way, Lori Stone said she was going to get rid of it. And now she's not going to get rid of it. She's got every excuse in the book.
Did that generate a response?
Well, not a little bit, a little bit. The police chief is an interesting mixture of, he's got absolutely nothing to be arrogant about and is extremely arrogant about it. And I'm like, what? You're the least impressive person I've ever met, but he's pretty, confident about his whatever.
Well, of course.
So, we started to touch on it, but then things flared up again a couple of weeks ago. She Desi actually went up to talk about our women's program, about Not Me. And apparently, she started talking to Desi about it. And Desi's like, I'm not involved in the politics. I run the women's program. Talk to Mike. I'm not involved in the political part. And so I sent that to Lori. I was like, look, she runs the women's program. Talk to somebody about politics. Talk to me, because it's a problem. Lori Lori Stone, the city council member from Marietta, is going around and pretending to be this red-blooded Republican conservative, and she won't support the Second Amendment. I mean, in word, right? Oh no, I'm pro Second Amendment.
Well, of course.
But when it comes time to actually do something about it, she wouldn't. She said that now, what she wants to do. Let's see. Let me look here. Now what she wants to do is she wants to debate. Now she's all in favor of this personality test, calling it a mental behavioral health a part of the CCW, and she wants to debate it. She thinks she's in the right. Now she's all for this ridiculous personality test. She said she's claiming she didn't lie, which she did. She said she was going to do something. She didn't do it. She's lying. She said that once elected, I did my due diligence, and I and council has zero authority to change the program. The chief is not our employee, and the city manager will not agree to my request, and I cannot get another council member to support this effort, as you've stated. If you're adamant about this issue, why haven't you come before our council? Again, game on. And I said, this isn't a game. with me. It's people's rights. You told me you'd bring the resolution forward if I got the third vote. I got her to agree. Then you went back on your word. So at no time did she say, hey, you know what? I need you to come up and talk to the council. Hey, and, this third vote, how would she know I don't have this third vote if she's not allowed to talk to her? Right? It's just absolutely ridiculous. I'm not here to play games, Lori Stone. We're here to try to advance people's rights. We're here to stick to our word, and I have done that. So now she wants me to come up and talk about it at the council, which, by the way, the makeup of the council is now changed, and I think in her favor. I would think that the people that got elected are more pro-Second Amendment. The other thing is, you heard my text saying, hey, you can't just ban it. What you have to do is basically you have to do like this stick and carrot approach. You have to say, hey, look, we want to see a 5,000 word report on each, person that you require giving a personality test, because we want to see your reasoning as to why you gave them a personality. That's the kind of thing I stated. This is a little complicated, but it can be done. She's hiding behind semantics. She's hiding behind, a procedure that she clearly doesn't understand. By law, I can only talk to one council member, and I did, and got a no. I'm in City Hall getting ready for council. Our city attorney and our chief stated the NRA has backed off of the city of Marietta, by the way. They will not force this issue for your edification. Since I don't have a second to bring this forward, you may want to attend a city council meeting and request this be a future general. As far as I'm concerned, the ball is in your court. The ball has been in her court for over a year, and she did absolutely nothing. And she's completely, talking out of both sides of her mouth, completely butchered this whole situation. Come to a meeting and ask the mayor to agendize this. It's absolutely ridiculous that she has completely twisted and turned. She started with the pro-Second Amendment stance. She started basically saying, hey, I want to help. This is important to me. And for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe things got tough or whatever. She's now making up excuses. That first time she texted me, she didn't say, hey, you know what? We got to sit and talk because I got to tell you, I did some due diligence and I found out that, we can't do it or whatever. None of that happened. That wasn't her. She's completely lying. None of that happened. What she told me was, oh, I'm busy. Oh, the agenda's full. Oh, mass shootings. At one point, she said, I'm afraid that the police chief will quit if we do this. And I don't want that. Really? You're really afraid that the police chief will quit? And, oh, by the way, Marietta would be a better place without this clown. So that's what we're dealing with. People ask me a lot about Democrats, Democrats can't trust them, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, what if we back a Democrat and they say they're going to do something, then they don't do it. Lori's a Republican. Lori tries to pass herself off as like Queen Republican.
And we did back a Democrat.
What we have
and she's
before.
A sheriff.
Well, and she's not the only one, but yeah.
But
what I'm saying is I'm worried about everybody going back on their word.
Yeah.
Well,
because they just tell you what you want to hear, they think.
Yeah, Lori can't be trusted. We don't have a candidate to run against her yet. But I think this is the type of situation where we need to find a candidate and knock her out, of office. I mean, using words like game on, I don't really want elected officials who are playing games with me. Yeah, this is a game that we have to.
They don't understand you take this dead serious.
It is serious. Yeah, I mean, it's a civil right.
But they don't get it.
I mean, she wants to debate me? Like, what debate? What's there to debate? A personality test for $200 shouldn't be necessary. One of the things we've done is we've really put the word out. Hey, look, if you're in Marietta, do not go to the police chief to get your CCW.
Oh yeah. Don't
spend the $200 on the personality test. Go to the county. Go through the sheriff. Because I think it's corrupt. It's an abuse of power. I have no idea. Where's this $200 going? Why is it so important for the police chief? Anyway. Day in the life of politics. Lori Stone, bad news. You can't trust Republicans just because they're Republicans.
Absolutely.
You can't trust politicians, period.
Period.
But Lori Stone, particularly bad news. She refuses to do anything to help after going back on her word and lying. And people need to know that.
Only way to fix it: vote, vote, vote. There you go. Hey, the San Diego Gun Show is returning October 21st, 22nd. It's the second gun show since they banned it from Del Mar Fairgrounds, and we need you to come out and support the event so we can keep on growing the gun show and help educate people that it's normally want to be able to protect yourself. The Gun Owners Symposium is also happening, free with gun show admission, $15. Come on. What's a symposium? 2 full days of speakers, and San Diego County Sheriff Kelly Martinez will be there. She's confirmed to be a presenter. More guns, more speakers, more prizes, more food, more coffee. $15, but you can go to gunownersradio.com and get a little $2 discount coupon. Check it out. All right.
I think we got him this week.
I think we got him last week.
Did you?
We had a controversial
that's
situation.
right.
Yeah.
We got it. You know what? Here, let's get him on the phone. Sam, you there, buddy?
Yeah, how are you guys?
Fantastic. So there was a little bit of controversy last week.
To retroactively give them a win.
Did you research
as
that?
promised, I did my research. I did not get the answer right. The pistol I was talking about, but got the name wrong. The correct name is Colt Mustang XSP.
No. Well,
Okay.
close enough.
Close enough.
No.
All right. Wasn't close enough.
No, it's not. It's not close enough.
All right. Okay. Because I was getting texts.
Well, wait a minute. He might have some more to say.
Do you? Go
Or is
ahead.
that it?
Well, no, that was it. It was just the question was about what does Pinto mean for handguns, and the correct answer was it's a revolver made with parts with different finishes, sort of a dog's lunch of whatever they had on hand. Whereas the answer I gave was a completely different handgun,
Right.
a little polymer framed 380 derived from a 1911 that Colt made for a while.
Did you just say a dog's lunch?
I have not heard
did.
that one.
That's
Did you hear that, Brendan?
I haven't heard that for a long time.
That's one you ought to put in your book.
With the other
A dog's lunch.
with the buffalo and the nickel
Yeah,
scene. Yeah.
Sam, how would you describe it? What does that term mean? A dog's lunch? That's a cliche I haven't heard in a long time.
It's a whole mix of all sorts of different stuff. Working behind the counter at a gun shop, I picked up a lot of colloquialisms that maybe are not used so much anymore, but maybe were used when a lot of the customer base were younger.
He's talking about old people.
I felt like a shot.
I think he's talking
Like
about
you would-
old people.
I felt like
Downrange.
I felt like Uncle Mike. You're kind of old. All right, okay, here we go. Here's the question. Oh, Alicia, you want to do the
I'll read
honors?
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
go for it.
Yes, Sam. So our question today comes from Ben, and Ben is from El Paso. And the question is, what is Comstock scoring in competition shooting?
Ben from El Paso, what is Comstock scoring in competition shooting? What is Comstock score? You know what? I have no idea.
Yeah, this is pretty. It's still gun, right? It's still gun world, but this is pretty.
It's a specialized niche.
Very. Okay, go for it. What's the so? Is it final answer? You don't know?
Yeah, final answer. Ben from El Paso, you are a wizard. You got me.
All right.
Oh.
What's the answer?
All right. So Comstock scoring is an effort to reward the fastest shooter that can shoot accurately. So it kind of finds a balance between speed and accuracy. A shooter may fire as many rounds at a target as they wish, thus often getting a slower time in order to achieve the maximum points. In Comstock, you got to be able to say it first.
Yeah.
In Comstock scoring, points total shot minus procedural penalty points is then divided by the shooter's time through the stage to arrive at what's called a hit factor. The competitor with the highest hit factor wins.
So basically, you can't miss so fast that you take first place. It's
Right.
trying to avoid, like, hey, this guy got a score. It only took him 2 seconds and he didn't hit the target once. You know?
Right.
It's kind of that. That's right. You can't miss
But Sam's not a competitive shooter.
Well, it counts. It's in the genre.
Are you just looking for ways
No.
to crumble this poor guy?
No, I thought.
No, that is absolutely a fair question. It's a good question,
It is.
and it's my favorite kind of question because the answer is more interesting than the question itself. There's stuff to talk about there, and that, as Dave said, I do not shoot competitively, but that sounds to me like it forms the basis for what I have seen secondhand of how modern action shooting matches work, where some of them will, penalize you for missing the target, so that, just as you said, you're not giving first place to the guy who can miss the fastest.
You don't want to miss the fastest. All right, let's talk about your blog. Did you talk about the Dianne Feinstein blog yet?
Yes, he did.
I mentioned that I did a blog post on that, but I didn't really go into depth about it.
Let's go into depth. So
now that it's been up for a while and people can get over their shock at what I wrote.
Why? No, I didn't. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was artwork. I'm proud to say I have not liked Feinstein for decades.
You're not alone.
Now that being the case, I mean, go ahead, talk about your blog, because I thought you put it beautifully.
Well, Dianne Feinstein, as everyone listening knows or should know, longtime U.S. senator and longtime politician, really, from California. She was a public official for 54 years. So I'd put money on that. Most people listening right now do not remember a time before she was in office. And in that time, particularly in her time as a U.S. senator, her voting record really reflected a disdain for basic civil liberties, namely the right to privacy, which admittedly is not enumerated in the Constitution, but is generally considered a basic human right. And the right to keep and bear arms, which is enumerated in the Constitution. She routinely, almost every time she got the opportunity, voted to expand the government's power to surveil U.S. citizens, and voted to take away parts of your right to keep and bear arms.
So now let me play something for you. Let me see, because this is a couple of things I wanted to touch on. This was a 60 Minutes interview back in 1995. Let me see if I can make this work here.
California Senator Dianne Feinstein worked for more than a year to get the assault weapons bill passed in the face of ferocious opposition from the National Rifle Association. She says she got the best she could.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it. I could not do that.
So here's somebody who on 60 Minutes is extremely sad that she couldn't get 51 votes to completely take away your civil rights. You know, she just was breathlessly, complaining about the fact that, oh my gosh, and there was a part in your blog where you said, look, you're not, I forget how you put it, but you were just like, look, I'm not saying I'm glad she's gone, as far as death goes, but we can talk about her career. I think it is very fair to say, hey, look, I'm not going to celebrate a career like hers. I'm not going to celebrate somebody who tried to do something so heinous and horrible as, to not just limit, but completely take away a civil right and bragged about it on 60 Minutes. And lamented poor me. I couldn't get the 51 votes to take guns away from every single American. It's
mind-boggling.
It really is. And I thought the fact that you wrote this and the way that you wrote it were extremely great. As soon as somebody passes. I mean, so she passed away and her career ended on the same day, so that doesn't take away our ability to criticize her career, which is exactly what people were trying to do. And here Sam did an excellent job of writing this up.
At what age? I mean, he didn't know this lady.
She's like 157 years old.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Here's a guy with a perspective that I think needs to be looked at. I mean,
sure.
I was.
Interesting enough. So, Sam, how old are you?
I'm 24.
So, Sam's 24. We were talking about the fact how when I was about 24, I might have been 25 or 26, but we were about the same age. And I'm much older than that now. I'm like twice that. And I actually gave a speech in my speech class in college, basically damning her for all the things that she'd done. And that's how long she's been in office, that two guys from two different generations, are
have
both
the same opinion.
Have the same opinion about the same politician who's in the same position doing the same thing.
Wow.
But anyway, I thought you did a greit job, Sam. I thought it was well worth it. Please, everybody out there, go to SanDiegoCountyGunOwners.com, click on our blog page, look at his Feinstein article, and share it, and then sit back and watch the meltdowns.
Oh, yeah.
I was just going to say that the fight's not over, too, because we have LaFonza Butler, who just replaced Feinstein's seat, and she's like extreme. Yeah, I know. She was a strategist and a advisor for Kamala Harris's 2020 presidential campaign, and you know how well that went. So it's going to be still a very hard fight here in California. So, just wanted to throw that out there, too.
Awesome job. All right, man. Thank you so much, Sam. Appreciate it. You did a good job. And I look forward to your next blog post next week.
Talk to you next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. As always, it's a real pleasure, and thank you very much, everyone out there, for listening.
All right, buddy.
Thanks, dude.
Keep up the good work.
When she was, by the way, real quick, when she was mayor of San Francisco, the Night Stalker, the serial killer, was killing people in the Bay Area.
Right.
He was bad news. He was, and they had some evidence on him, and the cops said, "Do not release this," and she, for political reasons, released it. And he got rid of the evidence, went to L.A. and killed more people.
Yeah.
When she was mayor, look it up. It's not even. That's not a conspiracy theory. Wow. That's factual. Anyway,
hey folks, thanks for listening in. Like and subscribe our show. Leave a comment if you'd like, and please support our great sponsors: San Diego County Gun Owners, Orange County Gun Owners, Inland Empire Gun Owners, the Dillon Law Group, Sage Tree, San Diego Flight Train International. Big shout out to Alicia Curtin, Michael Schwartz, and Sam the Gunman, Matthew Dominguez, and the big dog in the house, Brendan Thomas. Don't touch that dial. Bob Siegel is here to enlighten you for a solid hour on FM 96.1 AM 1170.
The Answer.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for watching this episode from Gun Owners Radio. If you're watching mainstream media, you're not getting the truth about guns and the Second Amendment. Gun Owners Radio is the easiest way to stay on top of the Second Amendment fight, the fight for your self-defense rights. You can watch our live stream on YouTube every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, or if you're in San Diego, AM 1170, FM 96.1, The Answer. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform. Just do a search for Gun Owners Radio and you'll find our show. Don't forget to support our sponsors. Click on the links in the show notes and support the businesses that support your Second Amendment rights. Like and subscribe to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.